Welcome to the Düsseldorf Boat Show, where behind me here is Princess's big launch at the show. This is the brand new Princess F58. Now, the whole idea of this boat is it will eventually replace the 55, but it just takes things to a new level in terms of space and detail and features. And you can see that straight away at the stern here. We've got this big hydraulic platform. You can fit a Williams 325 jet tender on there. But look at all this interesting stuff going on here. We've got this lovely beach club area here. This is a big bench. You can see that this just folds up. So that all tucks away very neatly when you're underway, but then drops down to become a lovely aft-facing bench here. And this is a really neat feature. Under here, we've got a special rack for a sea bob, and you can see that is on runners. Now, I don't know if you've ever used a sea bob before, but they are super heavy. So having a convenient sliding rack to get it in and out is an absolute stroke of genius. And there is a charging point in there too. Really handy. And if you're not into sea bobs, of course it makes a great stowage place for inflatable paddle boards, that kind of thing. We've also got another neat feature here. Now, this is not spec'd with a grill or wet bar. This is at the moment just a draining locker, but you can have a sink, you can have a grill there. I think one thing I have noticed, it seems to be missing a latch. I suspect they will put that on later because you want something to hold that in place so that it's not just bouncing around. But very nice to have that feature too. Now, here's another big change. This is the access to the crew cabin. Now, on the F55, you had to start lifting cushions in the cockpit. Here, you've got a lovely lifting staircase that goes straight down in. We'll have a very quick look while we're here. And being Princess, they do it very nicely indeed. You can see we've got bunk cabins here and a little ensuite heads compartment. But if you don't have crew and you don't want this extra cabin, you can spec it purely as a day heads for the beach club, and then this becomes a bit bigger. You have a bit of storage in here in the lazarette, but very handy to have the option if you don't want the crew cabin. Personally, I think it is worth having because it's a really nice overspill cabin for guests as well. Lovely wide steps up into the cockpit. You can see we've got a passerelle and shore power in here. That's the passerelle. And then lovely big cockpit. Love the way they've got these cleats and winches on a little separate teak platform here. Smart little touch. Good sociable U-shaped seating under here. Very nicely protected by the overhead. And again, it's just adding nice lining in here, nice lighting, gives a bit of extra detail. Now, here's the other view. You can see when that's folded down, that's the access to the crew cabin. Some nice features here. Optional extra helm station, really handy if you're mooring in the med, stern 2. That's all the sort of fire systems. Over here there's a good locker too, very handy for shoes and things. Nothing much to see at the moment, but a really good size locker for life jackets, that kind of thing. And then lovely low-level bar leading into the saloon. We'll just let's have a quick look around the decks. We're not really allowed, but I have had special permission to have a quick peek up here at the decks whilst we're here. Have to be a little bit careful, but I wanted to show you what's going on up here first. Because look at this. What a lovely bow area this is. Very much borrowed from the larger boats, the kind of Princess S80. Don't forget, this is under 60 feet, but you've got the option of these two-way facing seats. So this way you have a lovely sociable arrangement. You can sit and chat to people sitting on this bench. This one is set up as a sunbed with the headrest going this way, so you've got a lovely laid-back place to lie and read your book. And of course it lies flat too if you want to, but really grown-up layout. Feels much bigger than you'd expect of a 50-something foot boat. Also worth pointing out that between them here you have got a little cooler, so just enough space for a few cold beers, a couple of snacks, whatever you want. So you're lying out, you don't have to run back. Very smart oval cleats and so on. Big stainless steel anchor, we won't bother looking in there. You get the picture, and some storage on this side too, next to the bench. Really handy for fenders, lines and things. You see that goes quite a long way under there too. Right, we better pop back and be somewhat careful at the moment, but interesting to see, even though we are some distance off the ground, it feels really nice and safe to move along, and you've got a handrail up there giving you extra support. Also, nice little bit of detailing, this little painted swage line here, and of course the Princess branding. Now what I have noticed here is that this bar feels a little bit lower than normal, and I think that's because it just means you get a bigger opening. You can see this is the window that props up like that, and having it a bit lower just makes a bigger opening into the main saloon, and it really makes a difference. You can get stools that will sit here, and there is a special place to store them here. I should also point out you can get directors' chairs, obviously, to go around this table. That folds over so you can have a bit more room, and there's some nice detailing and grab handle there if you want it. But I'll show you where the special storage space for those directors' chairs is in a minute. Now this is one of the other big changes. This is the first time they've managed to get a separate dining area and a lounge in the saloon. And it's one of those small things that makes a big difference when you're actually owning the boat. If you're not having to permanently convert the table from a lounge area to a dining station. Here you've got the option of both. You've got the lounge up front and then a dining station here. Convertible table again, just so it doesn't take up too much space when you're not using it. And the aft galley opposite here, worth seeing. That's the view out. Again, because of that really tall window, you just get a lovely connection with the sea. All the usual details that you would expect. 4-ring burner. This is a nice feature. The electrics aren't working at the show, but this is a high-low storage facility. It has, I think, a couple of shelves on there, but that just rises out of there, uses what would otherwise be a dead space, and you can keep your oils and vinegars and sauces and spices and so on in there. Lots of little detailing all the way down. Little stack of 4 of those. Full height fridge freezer. Again, being Princess, I love to see they've got proper locks, because I was out on a fairly rough day on a charter boat over this summer, and the fridge just burst open because it didn't have those locks. Small things, really important though. 2 good bins either side, lots of storage around, again even locks for there, and of course a half-size dishwasher. Relatively small sink, but useful rectangular shape. Lovely connection with the rest of the boat. Should also point out that there's storage under all of these seats, all the way under there too, and plenty more under these seats. We'll have a look at that in a minute. But this is the main lounge area, and look at the size of that window there. Just an enormous sheet of unbroken glass. Fantastic view. Not so fantastic at the moment, we're inside at the Düsseldorf show, but you get the picture. Really big windows. This is another thing. Technically it's an option, that little tub chair, but makes such a difference to have a bit of face-to-face seating. It just creates a much more sort of sociable environment. Otherwise you're all lined up on this side facing in one direction, but just having one chair over there completely changes the dynamic. Some nice detailing under here. We have got a kind of mini bar area. You'll see we've got an ice maker on this side. We've got a fridge on this side. There is bottle storage for your smart wines, and down there for your spirits. We've got a high-low television behind there, and of course the one other thing you need if you're making drinks is a glass cupboard. And what could be more convenient than having them all right there next to the bar area. Also got some of the entertainment system stored in there. And whilst we're over here, I should point out on this side, all of these chairs have storage under, but this is where the crockery will go. You can see we've got the little pegs to hold the plates and so on. They're just not in here at the moment, but super handy next to the galley, and all the way around there, similar style of storage. Extra little bit of storage under there for maps, charts, VHFs, so on. And the helm station over on this side, very considered, very polished, very Princess. We've got a adjustable helm wheel. We have up-down windows on both sides, electric obviously, exactly where you want them to be. So if you're sat at the helm, you can lean out, you can talk to your crew, you can talk to people on the quay, and there is another one over on that side. And of course, lovely extra ventilation. Very nice to see a separate plinth here for the throttles, perfect reach while you're sat back in the chair. We've also got the Aventix joystick. Now, even though this is a shaft drive boat, this will link up with the bow and stern thruster and the steering and the gearbox, so you can control it just as you would an IPS drive boat, but with proper shafts rather than pods. Bennett trim tabs, Raymarine glass bridge, two decent sized screens. I can't see quite what size they are, but they look plenty big enough. Bow and stern thruster. I believe the stern thruster is optional, but if you're having the Aventix, you would definitely want to go for that. And some very smart detailing here. You can see the finish on that helm. It's just a little, actually, hollowed out section with an air vent under there. But just nice little style feature. There is a split in the windscreen. It's not a single piece, that would be too big. And there's a fairly wide one there, but because you've got that opening window, it's very easy to look around it. Now, whilst we're here, let's go straight down, have a look below decks. As we're passing down here, worth noting there is a new electric system, very neat. We've got a little coloured LCD screen so you can access everything. You can see you've got fuel tanks, water systems, and of course controls for all the electrics, but very nice and easy to access. Lovely open lobby area at the foot of the stairs. We are under the windscreen here, so there's plenty of light will come pouring down here, but it doesn't feel at all cramped. And because of these nice pale colours, it feels very light, very open. Now, as we move down towards the owner's cabin, just thought I'd show you in here, we have got washer dryer. And this little cupboard here is bespoke storage for those directors' chairs. It's not terribly well lit, but that is a long, deep locker. You can get 1, 2, 3 directors' chairs stored in there. And there's nothing more boring than having directors' chairs rattling around in someone's cabin or in a lazarette, whereas here, proper storage. And this, similarly, you can have this fitted out as storage for a couple of stools for that bar in the cockpit. So very thoughtful to have dedicated storage for those if you need them. But this is the big win. This is the owner's cabin. And first up, there's a little step down into it just as you move in. But once you're in there, it is all flat floored, all flat ceiling, really good headroom, probably 4 inches above my head. I'm 6'1" or thereabouts. But crucially, what they have done is moved the bathroom and the storage the other side of the bed, and that gives, and again, very much a big boat feel. It's partly having the space, it's also the extra insulation, sound insulation it gives you from the engine room. Good size walk-in shower. Now, there is a little bit of a lip in the roof there, which I think means it's a bit too low for having an overhead sort of rain shower style shower. So it is more of a conventional rail with a shower head, but that seems like a very small compromise. There's certainly good space in the shower. Loo behind the door here. Smart, you can see the way the sink is actually integrated into that surface. It's not a separate sink, it just moulded in, but a lovely kind of matte, marbly type feel. It's obviously not natural marble, but it feels kind of very smooth and matte finish. That's real stone behind there, good storage underneath, towel rail. Really nice to see an opening porthole there too. I should also point out just how big these windows are, really good size windows. Now this is an option, you can have that as storage if you want. I really like that small sofa, partly because it's just a nice sociable place to sit, but also opens the cabin up a bit. If that was a full height sideboard, I think it would feel a bit more enclosed, whereas that way it just opens it up. You've got plenty of storage over on this side. We've got a big TV in the bulkhead. Lots of storage all around there. I won't open them up. Of course, there is storage under the bed too. You can see we've got a couple of drawers under there. Some nice detail in the deck head. Nothing overly fancy. Princess are always very kind of discreet. They don't go over the top, but it's just very refined, very smart. Nothing too showy, little recessed lighting, elements of wood, obviously lots of different finishes. This is an oak finish, but you can have ash, you can have walnut, I believe. Lovely big window there. And this is the main storage area. So again, all behind the bed. Have a quick peek in there. Lots of good hanging space in there. Lights pop open, or sorry, come alight as you open it up, all automated. And another good hanging locker or wardrobe storage in there. But you have to slightly keep reminding yourself this is less than 60 foot long, and it's only around 1 foot longer than the 55 and a few inches wider, but it feels way more than that. And partly that's because of the way they've packaged it. They've just managed to push everything out to the limits. The beam comes a bit further forward. All the kind of systems are very cleverly packed away, and this is another big winner. So in the 55 you get bunks, in this bed you get proper twins. And it gives you extra flexibility because if the electrics were working, which they're not at the moment, you can press that button and the two beds will slide together, and then you have the option of a double as well. There's a little step down into here, but tremendous headroom in here. We've got absolutely acres. Is it well over a foot above my head there? Nice natural light coming in through that window. As singles, they are relatively narrow. They look like they're probably 2.5 feet or something. They're certainly not quite 3 feet wide, but as a children's cabin or a small double, it works fine. Bit of storage in there. Now there's no ensuite bathroom for this. There is television in the bulkhead. This uses the bathroom over here, which is a shared ensuite for the VIP. So it's what we call a Jack and Jill bathroom. So there's entrance on this level here directly from the foyer. So you can use it as a day heads too, but you can lock that door from the inside and then it becomes an ensuite bathroom for the VIP cabin. And if we check this out, we can see good size VIP. There are those bow windows, quite thin but nice and long. Decent floor space all around the bed. As ever, there is a little bit of a step up to the side of the bed because you're moving into the bow of the boat. The waterline comes up a bit, so the bed has to be a little bit raised, and obviously the shape of the bow tapers as it comes towards there. But the bed itself, really good and wide. That's got to be, I think that's probably 6 foot at the head of the bed. Tiny little bit of taper down this end, but not much at all. You'd be very comfortable in here. Good storage at eye level. Switches by the bed head, and under here, charger for phones, USB sockets, and ensuite access to that bathroom. So there you can see that's the other door coming in from the foyer area. Shower tucked in the corner there, so it's slightly kind of triangular shape, but actually quite good room when you're inside there. Again, there is no overhead shower, it's another rail and shower head. Separate little opening port in there, nice to see, gives you some fresh air, stops it getting too damp. Exactly the same style sink and toilet over on this side. There we go. Let's see if we can go up and take a look at the Flybridge area now. Just work our way back through there. So that's the bar area where you can have those stools there. Now hopefully that looks promising. So steps up to the Flybridge, you can see nice thick teak steps, really good depth on them. I like the way they've shaped them so that they don't get in the way when you're walking around, and got nice soft curves so that you don't catch your ankles. And more big changes up here. Now this has the optional hard top fitted. I think a lot of people will go for this because look, with the size of the sunroof up there, you're really not sacrificing anything, and it just gives you so much more protection. It means you don't have to bother with covers nearly so much. Whole lot easier. There is that foredeck area we saw earlier on. fully duplicated helm station up here, very neatly done. You can see it's just a separate moulding with everything tucked into that. But all the key controls, always good to see that the helm itself is close to the center line. Does mean that your co-pilot gets a little bit hemmed in if you're driving, but there is just about enough space to squeak through there if you need to get out. But very nice to see that the skipper's chair has proper armrests, so you can chill out there, beautifully upholstered. Throttles, obviously they're not on a plinth coming out because that would block access, so a little bit further stretch, but you have got the same throttles, the same joystick, same trim tabs, same twin screens, same access to the thrusters, and so on. And then when we spin round, let's have a look at some of the seating arrangements. So very nice sociable U shape here. There is an infill to go across there, so that can be turned into a sunbed. Makes perfect sense because you've got the sunroof overhead. And then when you look back, there is a large C-shaped seating section here. But look what they've done with the wet bar. Rather than losing space here, they've put a mini wet bar here with a chiller in there. But the main bar is all at the aft end, and that makes a lot of sense. First up, it feels really nice and secure because it sort of provides a little bit of extra safety by having that depth and height there. It also means if you're cooking on the grill, and this one does have a grill fitted, all the smells, because you're at anchor, the wind is likely to be blowing across the boat like this, so it's likely to take any cooking smells away from you. We've got a sink in there, nice pop-up light, so again, if you're cooking in the evening, you've got a light to show you what you're doing. Small sink in there. Really good sized drawer fridge in there, so that's in addition to that small chilled locker we showed you earlier. Just a bit of storage, and I expect we've probably got a bin in there. We have indeed. But what a lovely place you can hang out up here, you can grill your prawns or your steak. Everybody sat here at the table. Other thing to point out is we've got an extending bimini in there, so that whirs out electronically, and there are a couple of small support poles that will hold it in place there. So if it is midday and sun is blaring down, you can shade this whole section. Very neatly done. Right, let's have a quick look down. We need to show you the engine room if we can. So this is the access down into the engine room. You can see it is a very traditional shaft drive layout. Quite a steep ladder, but easy enough. There's enough space to spin round and good grips on the way down, so I can do that one-handed whilst holding the camera. A very tidy layout down here. Now this has the twin MAN V8 1200 horsepower engines. You can see they are on straight shafts. You can see them running under the boat there. Now I'm told that on test runs, even though this is a very well-spec'd boat and the first one is usually a bit heavier than most, they've seen speeds of up to 36 knots from this, which is extremely impressive. Now this is an interesting area too, because you can see there's quite a decent gap here, and the reason they've done that is because you can opt for two different options here. One is to have an extra long range fuel tank. You can have an extra 300 litres of fuel here, in addition to the standard, I think the standard tank is 3,300 litres, so that just buys you a bit more range. Or you can have a lithium ion overnight battery system, so you can have anything from 20 to 60 kilowatt hours of battery power, which will mean that you can overnight and run systems. If you go for the full 60 kilowatt hour one, you can run the air conditioning pretty much constantly overnight. Or if you just want to run the systems without running the generator, you can go for a smaller 20 kilowatt hour, but that won't run the air conditioning, or the 40 kilowatt hour will run some air conditioning. Now, as we move back, we can see there's a really good lazarette area here. And this is partly a place for the Seakeeper. The standard one is actually a Seakeeper 14. This has an 18 fitted, so really good stabilizer. Should keep the boat absolutely rock steady at anchor, even in a bit of a swell. We've got generator there. You can see you've got access to all the rudders there, but also a handy place just to store cushions, lines. Anything that's not going to get tangled up can happily find itself a space in there, but plenty of room to move around. Really good lighting, and pretty good headroom. I can stand here at the entrance or just a bit of a squat to get down here, but it's so clean, so well lit, and so easy to access the key components that I think the lack of headroom is a very small price to pay on a boat of this size. So there you have it. That is the new Princess F58. Now, in this particular spec, with all the gadgets and features and optional extras you can see on it, comes to 3.5 million euros. A substantial amount of money, but then it is a substantial amount of boat. So I hope you've enjoyed watching it. My name is Hugo Andreae. This is the Motorboat and Yachting channel. Thank you for watching.